Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we're here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, the status quo, chapter 31, text 28. Ityevam saishavam bhuktva dukam pagundam evacha alabhad bhishito gyanad idhamanyu sucharpite. In this way, the child passes through his life suffering different kinds of distress and attains boyhood. In boyhood, also, he suffers pain and over-desires to get things he can never achieve. And thus, due to ignorance, he becomes angry and sorry. Purport. From birth to the end of 5 years of age is called childhood. After 5 years, up to the end of the 15th year is called Hoganda. At 16 years of age, youth begins. The distresses of childhood are already explained, but when the child attains boyhood, he is enrolled in a school which he does not like. He wants to play, but he is forced to go to school and study and take responsibility for passing examinations. Another kind of distress is that he wants to get some things with which to play, but circumstances may be such that he is not able to maintain them, and he thus becomes aggrieved and feels pain. In one word, he is unhappy even in his boyhood, just as he was unhappy in his childhood, what to speak of youth. Boys are apt to create so many artificial demands for playing, and when they do not attain satisfaction, they become furious with anger, and the result is suffering. Text 29. Sahadehena manena vardhamanena manyuna karoti vigraham kami kamishvantaya chatmana. With the growth of the body, the living entity, in order to vanquish his soul, increases his false prestige and anger, and thereby creates enmity towards similarly lusty people. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse 36, Arjuna inquired from Krishna about the cause of a living being's lust. It is said that a living entity is eternal, and as such, qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. Then what is the reason he falls prey to the material and commits so many sinful activities by the influence of material energy? In reply to this question, Lord Krishna said that it is lust which causes a living entity to glide down from his exalted position to the abominable condition of material existence. This lust circumstantially changes into anger. Both lust and anger stand on the platform of the mode of ignorance, on the mode of passion. Lust is actually the product of the mode of passion, and in the absence of satisfaction of lust, the same desire transforms into anger on the platform of ignorance. When ignorance covers the soul, it is the source of his degradation to the most abominable condition of hellish life. To raise oneself from hellish life to the higher position of spiritual understanding is to transform this lust into love of Krishna. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a great acharya of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, said, Kama Krishna Karmarpane. Due to our lust, we want many things for our sense gratification, but the same lust can be transformed in a purified way so that we want everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anger also can be utilized towards a person who is atheistic or who is envious of the personality of Godhead. As we have fallen into this material existence because of our lust and anger, the same two qualities can be utilized for the purpose of advancing in Krishna consciousness and one can elevate himself again to his former position, pure spiritual position. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore recommended that because in material existence we have so many objects of sense gratification, which we need for maintenance of the body, we should use all of them without attachment for the purpose of satisfying the senses of Krishna. That is actual renunciation. Text 30. Bhutai panchabir arabde dehe dehya buddho sakrit aham mametya sadgraha karoti kumatir matim. By such ignorance, the living entity accepts the material body, which is made of 5 elements, as himself. With this misunderstanding, he accepts non-permanent things as his own and increases his ignorance in the darkest region. Purport. The expansion of ignorance is explained in this verse. The first ignorance is to identify one's material body, which is made of 5 elements, as the self, and the second is to accept something as one's own due to a bodily connection. In this way, ignorance expands. The living entity is eternal, but because of his accepting non-permanent things, misidentifying his interest, he is put into ignorance, and therefore he suffers material pains. Text 31. Tadartam kurute karma yad badho yati samskritim yonuyati dadat klesham avidya karma bandhana. For the sake of the body, which is a source of constant trouble to him, and which follows him because he is bound by ties of ignorance and fruitive activities, he performs various actions which cause him to be subjected to repeated birth and death. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one has to work to satisfy Yajna, or Vishnu, for any work done without the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of bondage. In the conditioned state, a living entity, accepting his body as himself, forgets his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and acts on the interest of his body. He takes the body as himself, his bodily expansions as his kinsman, and the land from which his body is born as worshipable. In this way, he performs all sorts of misconceived activities which lead to his perpetual bondage and repetition of birth and death in various species. In modern civilization, the so-called social, national, and government leaders mislead people more and more under the bodily conception of life, with the result that all the leaders with their followers are gliding down to hellish conditions birth after birth. An example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Andhayatantar Upaniyamana. When a blind man leads several other blind men, the result is that all of them fall down in a ditch. This is actually happening. There are many leaders to lead the ignorant public, but because every one of them is bewildered by the bodily conception of life, there is no peace and prosperity in human society. So-called yogis who perform various bodily feats are also in the same category as such ignorant people, because the Hatha Yoga system is especially recommended for persons who are grossly implicated in the bodily conception. The conclusion is that as long as one is fixed in the bodily conception, he has to suffer birth and death. Text 32. Yadyasad pati puna sishnodhara kritodyamai astito ramate jantus tamho vishati purvavat. Translation. If therefore the living entity again associates with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people, engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before. Purport. It has been explained that the conditioned soul is put into the Anta Tamisra and the Tamisra hellish conditions, and after suffering there, he gets a hellish body, like the dog or hogs. After several such births, he again comes into the form of a human being. How the human being is born is also described by Kapila Dev. The human being develops in the mother's abdomen and suffers there and comes out again. After all these sufferings, if he gets another chance in a human body and wastes his valuable time in the association of persons who are concerned with sexual life and palatable dishes, then naturally he again glides down to the same Anda, Tamishra, and Tamishra hells. Generally, people are concerned with the satisfaction of the tongue and the satisfaction of the genitals. That is material life. Material life means eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy, with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity and the process of spiritual advancement. Such materialistic people are concerned with the tongue, belly, and genitals. If anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he must be very careful about associating with such people. To associate with such materialistic men is to commit purposeful suicide in the human form of life. It is said, therefore, that an intelligent man should give up such undesirable association and should always mix with saintly persons. When he is in association with saintly persons, all his doubts about the spiritual expansion of life are eradicated, and he makes tangible progress on the path of spiritual understanding. It is also sometimes found that people are very much addicted to a particular type of religious faith. Hindus, Muslims, and Christians are faithful in their particular type of religion, and they go to the church, temple, or mosque. But unfortunately, they cannot give up the association of persons who are too much addicted to sex life and satisfaction of the palate. Here, it is clearly said that one may officially be a very religious man, but if he associates with such persons, then he is sure to slide down to the darkest region of hell. Text 33. Satyam saucham dayamanam buddhi shrir yasachama samodhamo bhagascheti yatsangadyati shankshayam. He becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all opportunities. Purport. Those who are too addicted to sex life cannot understand the purpose of the absolute truth, nor can they be clean in their habits, not to mention showing mercy to others. They cannot remain grave, and they have no interest in the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is Krishna or Vishnu, but those who are addicted to sex life cannot understand that their ultimate interest is Krishna consciousness. Such people have no sense of decency, and even in public streets or public parks, they embrace each other just like cats and dogs and pass it off in the name of lovemaking. Such unfortunate creatures can never become materially prosperous. Behavior like that of cats and dogs keeps them in the position of cats and dogs. They cannot improve any material condition, not to speak of becoming famous. Such foolish persons may even make a show of so-called yoga, but they are unable to control the senses and mind, which is the real purpose of yoga practice. Such people can have no opulence in their lives. In a word, they are very unfortunate. Text 34. Te svasanteshu mudeshu kanditatmasvasadushu sangamna kuryat chodyeshu yosit krida mrigeshu cha. One should not associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization, and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman. Purport. The restriction of association with such foolish persons is especially meant for those who are in the line of advancement in Krishna consciousness. Advancement in Krishna consciousness involves developing the qualities of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, intelligence, and spiritual knowledge, simplicity, material opulence, fame, forgiveness, and control of the mind and the senses. All these qualities are to be manifested with the progress of Krishna consciousness. But if one associates with a Sudra, a foolish person who is like a dancing dog in the hands of a woman, then he cannot make any progress. Lord Chaitanya has advised that any person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and who desires to pass beyond material nescience must not associate himself with women or with persons interested in material enjoyment. For a person seeking advancement in Krishna consciousness, such association is more dangerous than suicide. Text 35. Natatasya bhavenmoho bandhaschanya prashangata yoshit sangad yata pumso yata tat sangi sangata. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. Purport. Attachment to women is so contaminating that one becomes attached to the condition of material life, not only by the association of women, but by the contaminated association of persons who are too attached to them. There are many reasons for our conditional life in the material world, but the topmost of all such causes is the association of women, as will be confirmed in the following stanzas. In Kali Yuga, association with women is very strong. In every step of life, there is association with women. If a person goes to purchase something, the advertisements are full of pictures of women. The physiological attraction for women is very great, and therefore people are very slack in spiritual understanding. The Vedic civilization, being based on spiritual understanding, arranges association with women very cautiously. Out of the four social divisions, the members of the first order, namely brahmacharya, and the third order, vanaprastha, and the fourth order, sannyas, are strictly prohibited from female association. Only in the order of the householder is there license to mix with women under restricted conditions. In other words, attraction for women's association is the cause of material conditional life, and anyone interested in being freed from this conditional life must detach himself from the association of women. Text 36. Prajapati svam duhitram dristva tadrupa darshita rohid bhutam sonvadavad riksharupi hatatrapa. At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind. Purport. Lord Brahma's being captivated by the charms of his daughter and Lord Shiva's being captivated by the Mohini form of the Lord are specific instances which instruct us that even the great demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva, what to speak of the ordinary conditioned soul, are captivated by the beauty of women. Therefore, everyone is advised that one should not freely mix, even with one's daughter, mother, or sister, because the senses are so strong that when one becomes infatuated, the senses do not consider the relationship of daughter, mother, or sister. It is best, therefore, to practice controlling the senses by performing bhakti yoga, engaging in the service of Madana Mohan. Lord Krishna's name is Madana Mohan, for he can subdue the god Cupid, or lust. Only by engaging in the service of Madana Mohan can one curb the dictates of Madana, Cupid. Otherwise, attempts to control the senses will fail. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 37 on Wednesday. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Glories to the assembled devotees, our glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nishangapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Ganga Mai and Muna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sharm Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Hare Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai, Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Hari. Jai Shrimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Sripad Krishna Keshav Prabhu Ji Ki Jai.
Dhanavad Pranam Didi.
Dhanavad.